Julius Nyerere put down this challenge to non-governmental organisations working in overseas development. He said, attack the causes of poverty, take your money and look at your own country. So we did that. A lot of charities began to work in campaigning, in lobbying within their own country. Development education began in the late 60s, where teachers were appointed to produce classroom materials to address some of the global issues. Today I'm here representing the Ideas Network. As Nick was saying, really is an umbrella organisation for NGOs, the education staff of those agencies, promoting global citizenship, working with teachers in Scottish education, and to influence policy as well. The Stride booklet you got in your pack is worth a wee look. You'll get a lot of contacts of the organisations and members in that. Part of the Ideas Network are the Development Education Centres, 6 of them throughout Scotland, one in Inverness, Dundee, Aberdeen. There's 3 in the Central Belt, and they offer support to teachers and also with local authorities. The membership of Ideas try to collaborate to support teachers and work at a national level with government, local authorities, universities. I think a good example of the collaborative effort is a project that's running at the moment, funded by the Department for International Development, called the Global Learning Project, hosted by Ideas, which brings together state, statutory sector agencies and organisations, along with the voluntary sector organisations, to look at how we can bring some cohesion to all these issues around global citizenship. Another one that came to mind was actually the event that Nick mentioned on Wednesday night, where the General Teaching Council was giving professional recognition to 24 teachers in Glasgow. And I know that 20 of those teachers have been supported in what they were doing by the West of Scotland Development Education Centre. And it was great, really, as Nick said, to see some really brilliant work going on by them. I don't know how Julius Nyerere would feel today, as I don't think he would be particularly happy with us. Today we're still really stuck in this situation. 550, 500. For the past 10 years, all the amount of charity money, if you like, that's gone to the developing world amounts to $5 billion. The last 10 years, 50 billion is the amount of money from all governments. But then $500 billion over the last 10 years is what's come back to the developed world from these countries. There's still loads to do. Just on the ratio part, the 550, 500, you got in your pack a leaflet about a new resource that was launched last week by the Coatbridge Development Education Centre in Porthcawl 40. I think John Dornan is around somewhere. It's a brilliant resource for upper school, for universities, and well worth, I think, a look at. There's a CD with full of lots of activities as well. It's really, really good. Nick Morgan has done a huge amount of work in promoting global citizenship in the Scottish education system, and we thank him for that. You could argue that it's already in policy and we should all maybe just go home, but we're not, because I think we believe that Ideas and similar organisations and networks, what we do is complementary to the education bodies. What we can bring are perspectives to the debate of communities whose voices are seldom listened to, seldom heard. We feel our work is just beginning. It might be in policy, but it's certainly not happening too much, and we feel that we're at the beginning of that, in that there's a lot of teachers now who are really, really keen to do more in global citizenship, but they're really lacking in confidence as to how to go about that. What we offer are approaches, ways of thinking about critical thinking skills, and really important, probably most importantly, opportunities to explore our own values and attitudes as well as those of our children. Sometimes global citizenship is seen as doing good. Sometimes there's a perception that global citizenship is about somewhere else and about someone else's problems and issues. And quite often we don't really see Scotland as part of the global. And I wonder sometimes if we use that sense of making connections, that do we have this same problem in our community that's just a wee bit down the road as well? How can we make these local global connections? And we would argue in the Ideas Network that that's what global citizenship is about. It's about making these local global connections, and that we can bring this work into everything that we're teaching. I'd like to finish with a little clip that came from Scottish DC in Edinburgh. Scott Deck produced this resource, Falsha Malawi, and I've got it's a lovely little clip from South Morningside Primary, just lasts a minute long, and they've tried through that to look at how have the children's attitudes changed from this work, what's been the impact of the work the teacher has done with them. And if I can manage the technology, I'll put that on for you now.
And then when I repeated the assessment, I could see that their knowledge and their comments were more widespread across many areas of life in Malawi, and not just focusing on wealth and poverty, which they did in the initial assessment. The activities from the pack provided my children with talking and listening skills, and I felt that was something that they really took from it, especially for my more able children, because they were challenged so much and they're so used to giving answers all the time, and they don't tend to sit back and listen. They had to listen to their peers, and they had to listen to their reactions and bounce off them. They've now applied that to many other aspects of our learning, including working in cooperative learning groups, where we've been learning about India, because they're working better as a group and bouncing ideas off each other, are not just taking control, which those children tended to do in the first place.
I think that individually each lesson was successful. I think if you looked at their opinions at the beginning or their ideas at the beginning, even of each lesson, in the end, that there's been a shift. And I think they've also developed an appreciation that children living in Malawi can be just the same as them, having the same sort of lives as them, not necessarily with the same things. You know, they might not have a television, but they're still getting to play with their friends, they're still getting to have their needs met. And then there are some children who do have televisions. You know, some of the photos in the pack showed that there's children that live in the towns that have got plumbed bathrooms just like theirs. And they go to the supermarket to get the food just like they go to the supermarket.
I think they're similar to us because they teach English and they go to school and stuff.
If you don't have very much water and you have to go every so often to get them, it'd be quite tiring doing that, and you get fed up of doing it. So you think we shouldn't use as much water because then we won't get collect as much.
I have found out about Malawi, and I got surprised because I didn't know that they would be that happy.
Thanks very